Commander Lee Jinho stood in the dark underground room, staring at the bright blue lights floating in the air. The lights showed pictures of strange ships far away in space, past the edge of their solar system. These alien ships had been watching Earth for 3 months now, like hunters studying their prey. The room was buried deep under the Gobi Desert, so deep that most people on Earth didn't even know it existed. Only a few dozen humans knew about this place, and they were the ones keeping Earth's biggest secret. "What do you see out there?" Ginho asked, his voice bouncing off the metal walls. Dr. Park Mina looked up from her computer screen, moved quickly across the strange keyboard that glowed with soft light. "The alien scouts are still in the same place, Commander. They keep flying in circles around our solar system, taking pictures and recording everything. They're doing exactly what they did to the people on Kepler 4 to be." Ginho's face became sad and angry at the same time. He remembered watching through their secret telescopes as the Kepler planet died. First, the friendly aliens had come. Then they had helped the people there build new things. Finally, they had taken over completely and killed everyone. Now that beautiful planet was just floating rocks and dust. What about the people upstairs? Ginho meant the regular governments that everyone knew about. Captain Kim Daeon turned around from his control panel. "They're doing great, sir. United Nations is having big meetings about whether those things in space are real or not. The TV news people are saying it's all fake. President Walsh told everyone yesterday that we should keep our minds open and be friendly." Jinho almost smiled. It was funny in a dark way. Above their heads, billions of people were living normal lives. They went to work, ate dinner, watched movies, and complained about traffic. They had no idea that alien hunters were studying them like animals in a zoo. The aliens thought humans were still very primitive. They saw people driving cars that burned gas, fighting wars with old weapons, and dreaming about someday traveling to other planets. The aliens had no idea that humans had been traveling to other planets for many years, hiding their real abilities. "Dr. Yoon, what did you learn from the old records?" Ginho walked over to a tired-looking woman who was reading alien writing on her screen. Dr. Yoon Soyoung rubbed her eyes. She had been working for 18 hours straight, studying the information they had stolen from dead alien cities. "I found information about 7 different alien civilizations that used to exist, Commander. All of them are dead now. I studied how they built their weapons, how they organized their armies, and most importantly, how they all made the same mistakes." She pointed to pictures on her screen showing the ruins of great alien cities floating in space. The Jectal aliens always do the same thing. First, they watch and learn about their target, and they make contact and pretend to be friendly. Next, they slowly become part of the civilization and gain trust. Finally, they take over and kill everyone who won't obey them. They've done this 43 times to different planets. "Have they ever failed?" Jinho asked. "Never. Every single time, they win," Soyoung said. "But this time will be different." Jinho nodded. The humans had one big advantage that no other civilization had ever had. They had been watching. For decades, Earth's secret space program had been studying other planets and civilizations from far away. They had watched the aliens destroy world after world, always taking notes, always learning. While the aliens thought humans were still trying to figure out how to build rockets, the truth was very different. Humans had secret bases on the Moon and Mars. They had invisible spaceships that could travel faster than light. They had weapons that combined technology from all 7 dead civilizations. "How long do we have?" Jinho asked. "Based on their pattern, about 18 months before they make direct contact," Dr. Choi Hai-jin said from her desk. Oh. She was Earth's expert on how alien minds worked. "They'll spend that time learning about our governments, our military, and our weaknesses. At least that's what they think they'll be doing." Ginho looked around the room at his team. These were some of the smartest people on Earth, and they had been preparing for this day for their entire careers. Outside, the world continued as normal. Politicians gave speeches, soldiers trained with old weapons, and scientists pretended they were still trying to figure out how to reach Mars. But down here, in the secret places, humanity was ready for War that the aliens had made one big mistake. They thought humans were like all the others, weak, trusting, and easy to fool. They had no idea that humans were survivors who learned from watching others die. They had no idea that Earth had been preparing for this moment for decades. Let them watch, Jinho said quietly. Let them think we're helpless. When they finally make their move, they'll discover that humans are nothing like the others. The holographic display showed the alien ships still floating in space, patient and confident. They had no idea that the hunters were about to become. The hunted Dr. Yoon Soyoung floated inside a secret laboratory built inside a large space rock. She wore a special suit that helped her breathe in the empty space around her. In her hands, she held tiny tools that could pick up things smaller than dust. She was digging through the broken pieces of spaceships that had been floating here. For 1,000,000 years, the spaceships had belonged to aliens called the Vorthai. These aliens had been amazing builders. They had created cities that stretched across entire solar systems, with bridges made of light connecting different planets. Their technology was so advanced that humans still couldn't understand most of it. But now the Vorthai were all dead, and their beautiful cities were just floating junk in space. It's always the same story, Soyoung whispered to herself as she worked. Her breath made fog on the glass of her helmet. The Jektal always do. The same thing. First, they make friends. Then they share technology. Then they become part of the civilization. Finally, they take over and kill everyone. They've been doing this for 10,000 years. Her assistant, Dr. Nam Woojin, was floating nearby, carefully moving around the old broken metal. He was also wearing a spacesuit and carrying tools. The people on Kepler planet lasted 18 months after the aliens arrived, he said. Proxima settlements fought for 2 years. Why are the Jektals so good at winning? They're patient, Soyoung answered. She had just found another small crystal that contained information from the dead aliens. They don't rush. They study their targets for hundreds of years. They know that the best way to win a war isn't to have bigger guns. It's to know more about your enemy than they know about you. While Soyoung and Woojin were working in their secret space laboratory, something very different was happening back on Earth. The Jektal aliens had started opening buildings in big cities like New York, London, and Tokyo. They called these buildings cultural centers, and they were full of amazing displays that showed off alien technology. Thousands of people crowded around these buildings every day. Inside, they could see holographic movies of beautiful alien worlds with crystal cities and flying cars. Aliens showed them medical machines that could cure any disease, and promised that humans would soon be able to travel to other planets as easily as taking a bus ride. The aliens had been very smart about choosing which humans to work with. They picked people who were good at talking to crowds and who really believed that joining the galactic community would be wonderful. For Earth, these humans became ambassadors between the aliens and the rest of humanity. Back in the underground, Command Center Commander Lee Jin-ho watched the news reports on his screens. He could see the excited crowds, the smiling ambassadors, and the amazing alien technology. But instead of being happy, he felt worried. The aliens were very good at this game. How much time do we have? He asked Dr. Choi Hai-jin. She was the person who understood how alien minds worked better than anyone else on Earth. If they follow their usual pattern, we have about 18 months before they start Phase 2, she replied. That's when they'll claim that Earth is in danger from some fake enemy, and they'll offer to protect us. Jinho nodded. He had studied the records from other planets, and Phase 3, complete control. By then, they'll know everything about our armies, our governments, and our leaders. They'll have their own people working in important positions all over the planet. On the big screen in front of them, the news was showing more footage of the alien cultural centers. People were lined up 4 blocks waiting to get inside. Children were holding alien toys. Adults were wearing t-shirts with alien writing on them. Everyone looked happy and excited about humanity's future among the stars. It looked like humans were walking straight toward their own destruction, just like 43 other civilizations had done before them. But Jinho knew that looks could be very deceiving. What the aliens didn't know was that every single person working in their cultural centers was secretly reporting back to the human government. The excited ambassadors were actually trained actors. The crowds contained hundreds of secret agents taking pictures and recording conversations. Even the children playing with alien toys were helping to gather information. Meanwhile, in hidden bases on the Moon and Mars, human scientists were studying every piece of alien technology they could get their hands on. They were learning how alien computers worked, how their spaceships flew, and most importantly, how their weapons could be defeated. The aliens thought they were being patient and careful, but humans were being even more patient and careful. While the Jektal were studying Earth's fake governments and fake military, humans were studying alien psychology, alien technology, and alien weaknesses. Let them think we're just another easy target, Ginho said quietly. Their own intelligence reports. The longer they think they understand us, the bigger the surprise will be when they discover the truth. On the screen, more crowds cheered as another alien cultural center opened. The aliens had no idea that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Learning from the mistakes of every civilization that had fallen before them, the big ceremony in Geneva was being shown on every television channel around the world. Secretary General Martinez sat at a fancy wooden table, holding a golden pen. Across from him stood the Jektal ambassador, a tall creature that looked like it was made of living crystal. Its body sparkled and changed colors under the bright lights of the cameras. Today marks a new chapter in human history, Martinez said with a big smile. He signed his name on the Galactic Cooperation Treaty with flourish. We welcome our new friends from the stars. The crystal alien's voice sounded like wind chimes when it spoke. Humanity has great potential. We will show you wonders beyond your imagination. Together we will explore the galaxy and bring peace to all worlds. The crowd in the ceremony hall clapped loudly. People watching on TV around the world cheered in their homes. It seemed like the most important and exciting day in human history, but deep underground. In the secret command center, Major Song Minyok was watching the ceremony with a different expression. He looked like someone watching a play studying. The actors on stage, they're very good actors, he said quietly. Commander Li Ginho, standing beside him, nodded. The best in the galaxy. Look how they're presenting themselves as reluctant helpers. They're saying they don't really want to get involved, but they have to because of the dangerous situation. Just 2 weeks earlier, Earth's space sensors had detected what looked like hostile alien ships approaching from a distant star system. The news had scared people all over the world, but then the Jektal had generously offered to send their own military ships to protect Earth from this new threat. Most world leaders had accepted the offer gratefully. They felt lucky to have such powerful friends willing to risk their lives for humanity. Sir Lieutenant Oyujin called out from her computer station. Our secret agents are reporting that the Jektal have started mapping our military bases. They're being very careful and thorough. Ginho smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was the cold smile of someone who knew a secret. I'm sure they are being thorough? What are they finding? Exactly what we want them to find, Oyujin replied. Old missile bases from the 1960s, fighter jets that use regular fuel, nuclear weapons that were built in the 1940s, Captain Park. Jihoon's team has done amazing work making fake signatures that show up on alien sensors. What the aliens didn't know was that everything they were discovering was fake, the real human. Military was completely different and much more advanced. But it was hidden so well that even the most sophisticated alien sensors couldn't find it. All across the solar system, human secret agents were working like invisible ghosts. Dr. Beek. Chayung and her team had been living on alien space stations for months, pretending to be maintenance workers. The aliens had never suspected that these humans had been genetically modified to look and act like perfect employees. Engineer Ko Sungmin had been secretly studying alien technology for years, taking it apart and figuring out how it worked. His discoveries were kept in hidden files that the aliens would never find. He had already built weapons that could defeat alien ships, but they were stored in secret locations throughout the solar system. The Jektal are following their timeline perfectly, Dr. Choi Hee-jin reported from her analysis station. Based on their past behavior, they'll reveal their true intentions and start taking control within 6 months. Gu Jinho replied. Let them think we're just another easy target. The longer they believe their own intelligence reports, the bigger the shock will be when they discover the truth. High above Earth, the first Jectal protection fleets were arriving. These ships looked impressive and powerful, designed to make humans feel safe and grateful. The aliens aboard these ships thought they were coming to protect a primitive planet from a fake threat. They had no idea that they were actually flying into the most sophisticated trap in galactic history, the fake threat that had scared Earth's governments was actually created by human computers, using technology stolen from the aliens themselves. The hostile ships that appeared on sensors didn't really exist. The whole crisis had been manufactured to make the aliens look like heroes. While the aliens thought they were following their perfect plan, humans were actually controlling every step of the process. The treaty that was signed in Geneva was written by human psychologists who understood exactly how alien minds worked. Every word was chosen to make the aliens feel confident and superior. "How many alien ships are in our solar system now?" Ginho asked. 47 combat vessels, 12 support ships, and 3 command carriers, reported Major Song Minyuk. "They think they're here to protect us, but they're actually delivering themselves directly into our hands." On the main screen, the ceremony in Geneva was ending. The Crystal Alien and Secretary General Martinez shook hands while cameras flashed. The crowd was still cheering, and news reporters were calling it the most important day in human history. They were right, but not in the way they thought. The trap had been set perfectly. The aliens had walked right into it, thinking they were the hunters. Soon they would discover that humans were nothing like the 43 other species they had conquered. The attack started at 3:00 in the morning on a Tuesday in October. Admiral Vakthara sat in her command chair on the biggest Jectal warship, watching her battle plans unfold on the glowing screens around her. She had done this 43 times before, and it always went the same way. First, her ships would destroy the primitive human military bases. Then, the human governments would panic and surrender within a few hours. Finally, the Jecto would take control of another planet, just like they had been doing for thousands of years. But something was wrong. "Admiral," her tactical officer called out, his voice shaking with fear. "The humans, they're not where they're supposed to be." Vakthara leaned forward, staring at the display screen. For months, her scouts had been mapping Earth's military installations. They had found missile bases, airports with fighter jets, and nuclear weapon storage facilities. But now, when her ships arrived to destroy these targets, they found nothing but empty buildings and fake equipment. "Where are their weapons?" she demanded. Before anyone could answer, space around Earth suddenly came alive with movement. Had looked like floating rocks, and space junk began moving in perfect formation. Chunks of metal that had seemed like broken satellites suddenly revealed themselves as sleek warships. "This is impossible," Vakthara whispered. Then a human face appeared on her main screen. It was Commander Lee Jinho, but he wasn't calling from Earth. He was calling from somewhere in space, from a ship that her sensors couldn't even detect. "Followed your playbook perfectly," Jinho said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were cold as ice. 43 other species fell for the same tricks. "But we've been studying your methods for decades. We know exactly how you operate because we watched you destroy the Kepler colonies, the Proxima settlements, and the Vega Confederacy." Vakthara felt her blood turn cold. "That's impossible. You humans are barely capable of space travel." "We've been traveling in space for 60 years, Jinho replied with a small smile. "We've just been very good at hiding it from you." All around the Jectal fleet, more human ships appeared. Things that had looked like mining equipment, research stations, and floating debris suddenly dropped their disguises. They were actually advanced warships, armed with weapons that the Admiral had never seen before. "You made one critical mistake," Ginho continued as the first Jectal ships began exploding in bright flashes of light. "Oh, you assumed we were like all the others. But we're not conquerors who try to build empires. We're survivors. We're the ones who learn by watching empires burn." The human weapons were unlike anything in Jectal experience. Their ships had energy shields that came from the ancient Vorthai civilization. Their plasma cannons were based on technology from the extinct Kraden Empire. Their ability to jump instantly from one location to another came from the long dead Zephyr people. Admiral Vecthara watched in horror as her carefully planned attack fell apart. Her ships had been designed to fight primitive enemies with simple weapons. They couldn't handle an enemy that combined the best technology from 7 different dead civilizations. "How did you get this technology?" she screamed at the screen. "We've been studying the ruins of dead empires for decades," Jinho answered. "Every civilization you destroyed taught us something new. The Vorthai taught us about energy shields. The Cretan showed us how to build better weapons. The Zephyr people left behind the secrets of instant travel." Back on his flagship, Major Song Minyuk was watching the battle on his tactical display. The Jektal fleet, which had seemed so powerful and organized just minutes before, was now scattered and confused. "Phase 2 complete," he reported to Jinho. "The enemy formation is breaking apart." The Jektal ships tried to regroup and fight back, but they were completely outmatched. Every time they tried a new tactic, the humans were ready for it. Every weapon they fired was blocked by shields they had never seen before. Every move they made was countered by technology that seemed impossible. "Retreat," Admiral Vekathera finally ordered. All ships retreat immediately. But even retreating was difficult. Human ships could jump instantly to any location appearing. In front of fleeing Jektal vessels before they could escape, it was like trying to run away from ghosts. "This isn't over, Vekathera. Broadcast to the human fleet." "Yes, it is," Ginho replied. "For 10,000 years, you've been destroying civilizations by using the same tactics over and over. But we watched you do it. We learned from every mistake our predecessors made. We studied every weakness in your strategy." As more Jektal ships exploded or surrendered, Vekathera realized the terrible truth. The humans hadn't just been hiding their technology. They had been setting a trap. Everything from the fake military bases, to the cultural centers, to the cooperation. Treaty had been part of an elaborate plan to lure the Jektal fleet into a position where they could be destroyed. "You thought we were blind?" Jinho's voice echoed across the battlefield. "But we've been watching you for decades, learning from the ashes of every civilization you destroyed." The hunters had become the hunted. The last battle happened in a place called the Eternal Archive, floating in the darkness of space. This was where the very first galactic civilization had died 1,000,000 years ago. Now their broken cities and destroyed spaceships drifted silently through the void. Like a giant cemetery in space, Admiral Vecthara had brought every single Jektal warship she could find. Thousands of them filled the space around the ancient ruins, their weapons pointed at the much smaller human fleet. She was desperate and angry. These primitive humans had somehow defeated her scouts and her invasion force. Now she would crush them with overwhelming numbers. "Look around you, humans," she broadcast to Commander Lee Jinho's ships. "We outnumber you 10 to 1. We have conquered 43 worlds. We have 10,000 years of experience in warfare. You cannot possibly win." Jinho's voice came back calm and steady, echoing through the ruins of the dead civilization, "And we have studied every single one of those conquests. Every mistake your victims made, every weakness they showed, every moment of their deaths. You thought we were blind? But we've been watching civilizations burn for thousands of years. We learned from their ashes." The battle that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships moved through the Jektal formations, like ghosts, appearing and disappearing in ways that seemed impossible. Each human vessel was a mixture of technologies from different dead empires. Combining the best ideas from 7 extinct civilizations, Dr. Yoon Soyoung watched the battle from the command center of the human flagship. On her screens, she could see ancient Vorthai energy shields protecting human ships from alien weapons. At the same time, powerful Kraden plasma cannons fired back at the enemy. The combination was devastating. Engineer Ko Sung-min had spent years modifying the Zephyr jump drives, and now his work was paying off. Human ships could instantly appear anywhere on the battlefield, striking the enemy and then vanishing before they could be hit back. The Jektal had never faced anything like this before. "It's working," whispered Dr. Choi Hyjin as she watched the alien fleet begin to fall apart. "They can't adapt to fighting an enemy that knows their complete history." The Jektal tried every tactic they had learned over 10,000 years of conquest. They tried surrounding the human ships, but the humans just jumped away. They tried coordinated attacks, but the humans predicted every move. They tried using their most powerful weapons, but the human shields absorbed the damage. Admiral Vakthara watched in growing horror as her massive fleet was slowly destroyed by a much smaller human force. Ship after ship exploded or was forced to surrender. Her captains were panicking, asking for orders that she couldn't give because nothing in her experience had prepared her for this. How is this possible? Yet she screamed at her tactical officers. We've never lost a battle. The humans aren't fighting like the other species, one of her officers replied. They're using tactics from civilizations that died before we even existed. They're combining technologies in ways we've never seen. The human ships moved through the battle like they were dancing, each one perfectly coordinated with the others. They had studied not just Jektal tactics, but the tactics of every civilization the Jektal had ever fought. They knew what worked and what didn't. They knew every weakness in the Jektal strategy. As the battle continued, more and more Jektal ships were destroyed or surrendered. The ancient ruins around them seemed to watch silently, as if the ghosts of the dead civilizations were finally seeing justice done. Finally, Admiral Vakthara found herself surrounded. Her flagship was the last major Jektal vessel still fighting, and human ships had appeared all around her. Her shields were failing, her weapons were damaged, and her crew was terrified. Commander Lee Jinho's face appeared on her main screen. One last time. His expression was not cruel or angry, but it was absolutely final. You will not add us to this graveyard, he said quietly, and you will not add anyone else ever again. Those words echoed through the ruins of the Eternal Archive as the last Jektal ship surrendered. For the first time in 1,000,000 years, something incredible had happened in the galaxy. A species had broken the cycle of conquest and death that had been repeating for eons. The Jektal had expected to add humanity to their list of conquered civilizations. Instead, they had met their match in a species that had learned from every previous defeat. Humans had not just survived, they had won, but more importantly, they had won without becoming conquerors themselves. As the defeated alien ships were escorted to prison planets, human leaders were already making plans. They would not rule the galaxy through fear and violence like the Jektal had done. Instead, they would become guardians. They would protect the younger civilizations from future conquests. They would share the lessons learned from studying dead empires. They would make sure that the cycle of galactic destruction would never happen again. The Watchers had become the protectors. The students of dead civilizations had become the teachers of living ones. And in the ruins of the Eternal Archive, the ghosts of 1,000,000 years of galactic history could finally rest in peace.